Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I would make over this wooden, little bit outdated, it's cute, very cute, but it's definitely outdated, solid wood piece. Oh my goodness. Hardware is a little bit on the, you know, but if we paint over it, it won't be sticking out so much. So we're going to go ahead and make over what they are considering a bread box, and we'll see what I can come up with. And there's actually a bonus piece in this. It's a little recipe box made out of the same thick wood material. It was a matchy-matchy theme, which I'm a matchy-matchy person. So yes, today we are going to be working on some outdated boxes, along with a mirror that I wasn't too sure, like, am I going to go ahead and send it to auction, donate it? I thought, I can't do anything with this, but sometimes things surprise you. And yes, I have another idea for a window, but I also have my most requested DIY in this video. So if you are new to the channel, my name is Yvonne, and I love to go searching out and about for secondhand, pre-loved, thrifted items. And today is no different. All these items have been thrifted. All of them have been pre-loved, and I love to share my ideas with you of what I would do to these items to make them over, either to add them into my own home for home decor or to resell them. I have a couple retail booths in a local antique mall. So if you are a lover of making items over, you like to get your hands dirty with some paint, do I have a video for you. Okay. So this mirror almost went to auction. So part of what we do, and we do a lot of auctions, is we get a lot of extra stuff. So I bought this. Well, this came with actually a beveled domed glass frame that I just recently did for you with the mushrooms and the dried flowers. And I was just going to donate this because I'm like, you know, nothing fancy. But it is a beveled glass mirror, and I think I can make it look better. I think somebody has spray painted it gold or used a rub and buff on it. So instead of donating it, because it has age to it, I'm gonna see if I look at my terracotta. I'm gonna see if I can make it look a lot better than what it looks like right now. So I know we all do things different. I just like to tape off the glass. I know people stick cards underneath there, what have you. This is just what I do. Because I'm actually going to have to prime this frame. I don't know if this is spray paint or if it's a rub and buff. So I'm going to have to prime it with something to make sure the paint that I put on it will stick. Okay, I got it all taped off. Now I'm going to go ahead and wash it. You see there is some chipping, some brokenness, but the way that I sometimes like to paint, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm not going to worry about filling it in. It's an old mirror. We're going to give it an old time look. Shellac is my primer to help the paint that I want to put on this adhere, seal in whatever paint this is. Yeah, so what you hear in the background, the fan, this is our spray room, so it has a ventilation system. So go ahead and put my mask on, and then we'll go ahead and get this sprayed. And one coat usually isn't enough. You usually need to do at least 2 coats, so to get the areas that you may have missed with the first coat. Now for the mirror color, I'm going to do Old Olive. I don't have a lot left. I think this will be good. I did a mirror recently in the Old Olive, and it sold right away, which I knew it would. Chippy paint on mirrors does really well. It makes it look really authentically old. really didn't notice the difference putting the liquid in first or not putting the liquid in first. The powder could sink to the bottom anyway, so. And then it made a mess out of my scoop. Okay, my 2 coats of shellac are dry. Now it's time to do a little bit of painting on here. Take away whatever the color that, that this is. That has a nice crackle going on, but we're not done yet because we need a second coat. Such a tease when it does that. Oh, look at that beautiful crackle. Oh, I'm glad that I rethought what I wanted to do with this mirror. So the antiquing wax really gets into those crevices and makes them pop. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and change the wire out. On here it's kind of stretched. It's a little pokey. And I'd like to do it so you could do both directions. And I think I'm not going to cover up the back only because I love the age of the back of it. And if I put paper over it, nothing seems to be sticking out that would be scraping your wall other than this wire. So I'm going to go ahead and take this wire off and change it into something new. And that way you could have 2 options of if you wanted to hang it this way or if you wanted to hang it that way. So first thing we're going to do, even though I'm probably going to paint over the hardware to blend it in, I need to take the hardware off because I need to sand this. And as you see, it goes right into where their hinges are. So it'll just be easier to sand if I take it off. There's not really a ton of finish on this, so I don't think I need to take the top hinges off. I just needed to get this off so I could sand it. It doesn't like little cubby boxes to store things in. So I just have 150 sandpaper because I don't need to take like down to the wood or anything. I just need to get the paint off, a little bit of the top coat you can see that's built up around where the hinges were. So there is a little bit of top coat, a little bit of water damage on the side. I think it just fit. So talk about water damage. That's why I like to put those little rubber feet on that I get from Amazon, because that happens, especially if your countertop near your sink. Now this has the nail holes showing. I don't want that to show in my finished design, so I'm going to go ahead and just take some spackling and then just fill those in. They're just little holes. So it'll be repeat the same process. Take the door off, sand the design off, and then fill in the holes on the bigger box. So now I need to sand those. It's probably going to seem a little weird to put this back on, but like I said, I'm going to be painting the hardware. So I want to get this back on the way that it should be. I have some Dawn dish soap, some hot water, great degreaser, just getting everything washed down. Now I'm not going to be painting every inch of this little boxes, so I'm actually going to just take the time to tape off areas that I do not want paint on, just to keep them clean lines. This is very raw wood. So now this wood is really raw, and so that you don't see where the design was, you've got stain, you've got really raw wood. I've got metal going on here on both of these pieces. I'm going to seal them in. It is probably going to take about 3 coats of the shellac spray to seal these in. So let me get my mask on. So after some consideration of what to paint these boxes, I think I'm going to go with artichoke. So would you consider a green like this neutral? I mean, it would go in with farmhouse, with your greens to do your pops of white, your mid-century modern with the fun color, and even the cottage core. So I love milk paints because we can get that old-time chippy look to make it look like it's not just a fresh paint job, that it's been around for a while. So Sweet Pickins milk paint is my choice for these boxes. So we're going to go ahead and get them mixed up. So if you've not used milk paint before, it is a powder. So it's equal parts liquid to equal parts powder. Oh, I do like the color artichoke. Oh my goodness. So with that being said, the powder and the liquid, you stir it for 2 minutes. You can see how it aerates, gets bubbly, and then you sit it off to the side for about 2 to 10 minutes, just whenever you're ready to use it. It'll be a little bit thicker than just being watered down right now. So 3 coats of shellac. Now The natural wood would be a little bit bumpy, but I'm not worried about that right now. It might feel a little raised, but this said I'm not terribly worried about that. Look at that. And as I said, I'm painting right over the hardware. You know, cost efficient of changing the hardware out. We still want it to look old. I just don't want that to be so bright of black and chunky hardware. When I talk about milk paint being old-timey, meaning that it gives it that aged look, that paint has aged, it has cracked. Now with this being raw wood, it may just soak into it. I may not get any of that, and that's okay. It's unpredictable. I mean, there are products, Crackle products, Extra Bond. There's other products that can help you achieve different looks. I just kind of let the milk paint do whatever it's going to do. Now you can kind of see why I spent the time taping off. That way I have a stopping point of where I don't want my paint to get. So just lifting the lid up to be able to get this area. Is this color not already amazing? Even on the hardware, it's amazing. Great choice. I love how it's kind of showing the dimples that are on that hardware. We are getting a little bit of cracking, which is awesome, but we're not done. We definitely don't have coverage going on there, so we need some more coats. 2 might be enough. You might have to go 3. You just do what it needs. So it did do some beautiful crackles. Oh, look at that. So to bring that alive a little bit more, we're going to use some aging wax by Fusion, which will get into those little crevices and darken it up a little bit. And in case it's too dark or to blend it in, I'm just going to use some of the clear wax. Oh, look at that. Too. So I tried a few different hardware on these. I just didn't like it because one's small, one's large. Yeah, it didn't look like it has this lip that is supposed to help you open it anyway. So I'm just not going to put any type of hardware on it. Meaning like your knob or anything like that. So after you get the tape off, there's always like that hard crusty edge where like the paint builds up and just kind of dries. So I just like to take some sandpaper and get that so it's nice and smooth. Nobody wants to feel that rough edge. I think since I'm not putting any hardware, I'm going to go back in and give it a little bit more detail. Just touching up those. I know that I already waxed it. It'll be all right. I have a little bit of wax left on the brush just to blend it all in. So after staring at these, working on other projects, I wasn't going to put anything on the front of it, but it's just so much space. So I think I am going to, because it's already painted, it's been waxed, but it's been sitting overnight. So the wax should be good and dry, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put bread. I'm just going to use some of IOD stamps, and then we'll come up with something little for this one. Just, you know, just to have a little bit of fun. They just need a little something. Typesetting stamps from IOD, they're just a nice, crisp lettering. I don't care if it gets on there completely. Like, I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to look old. So I'm going to line these up. I like to use tapes, but I'm using my stamping mount, which this is the IOD product also. Here, let me show you. And they're like $4, less than that. But this is nice because you have a line to go on. And bread's an easy one because you don't have to reuse letters. So then you can see your spacing. Now remember, you're not going with the bottom of this, you're going with the bottom of the letter itself. That's where people get a little off. It's got that little lip on there. What you want to do is so when you're putting it on, you know, some people think like the bottom of where the stamp stops, that's where you're like, okay, I need to get this all here. And then all of a sudden you stamped on it and you're like, my letters are all off. That's because there's that little bit of lip. So if you use this like some kind of a straight guide and then go to where the letter itself is on, not the whole stamp. I hope that makes sense. That'll just help a little bit. Not saying that I'm going to get it on perfect by any means, but that's might be where, if anybody's having a problem, that might be where you might be having your problem. Or nobody may be having a problem. It was only me. Sometimes I've had mine for a while, so they don't stick as well, but it seems to be working there. Okay, I'll do a little test run to see. IOD ink in the black. I'm not re-inking my pad because I don't want it to be necessarily like this deep thing. Okay. Don't let go. Oh. Good enough. Oh my gosh, I thought it was slipping there. So just let that dry now. Next, I'm going to use some of the Apothecary, not the labels, because I don't want it. I still kind of want them to match, but they have smaller letters. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I'll probably just, instead of recipes, because a lot of people just do Pinterest, a lot of people don't necessarily do recipe boxes as much, unless you have your grandma's. So I'm just going to probably take these ones and make out the word storage. See, that's why I get upset, because then they don't end up sticking, and I've never even used the set. They don't end up sticking to that stamping mount. Oh, that's where my tape. So I just take some packing tape, pull some out, grab my letters, and now I'll know that they're going to stay and not fall off. So then I just make some little handles to be able to hold it. Then I think I'm just going to eyeball, since I just kind of eyeballed the other one. And then with the tape, you can actually stick the tape a little. And then the tape's stuck, and then you can take your brayer over it. So to keep this off the counter from water getting under it, I'm going to attach the little rubber feet. Keep it off of getting the wood wet. I know that I've been doing probably quite a few windows here lately, but when you have an idea, you can't get it out of your brain until you do it. And I have another idea for a window. I have quite the stash of windows. So, and it's the season here in Michigan, you know, garage sale season, clean out areas are happening. People are selling these. So I'm not sure when I picked it up for $5 or if that was what I bought, but this one is a little bit special to me because it's raw wood. On the, well, which this would have been the inside. It is painted on the back, but I have an idea for this one that's totally out of the box from what I've ever done in a long time. Okay, some of this is really dirty. I do want to tape off my window. But it's just got some dirt. I don't know how long it's been sitting or when I bought it, or if it's the dirt that came with it when I bought it. So at least want to wipe that off so I can get some tape taped in these areas. Like I said, so this would have been the part that would have been on the outside of your house. We're going to get this. I'm actually going to paint the back of the window. So I need to get like any white that is on there off that as I can. Because a lot of times when they do this glazing, and they paint it, it kind of gets on the window. But there are little metal glazing points that actually hold the windows in, so they're not coming out. So I need to see how much of this I can get clean. So if I see the white paint, I need to try to get it to come off. Okay, so now I need to get my windows really clean. I'm just going to use the glass cleaner. This one does work really well. There's a lot of buildup on these windows. Try to get any of the little dust particles, chippiness, chip paint off. I already blew it once, but I'm going to go ahead and blow it again. This is the back side that I'm painting. So we are actually using Fusion's Coal Black. I don't know how many coats it'll take to not be see-through. But see, this is why I needed to get that as much of any white paint or glazing off so that you wouldn't see that white. I'm hoping. So, yep, we're just gonna. Okay, so I think it's black enough, but I think I need to try to clean these windows so I can see. It's a little dirty. Squeaky clean. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the frame. And we are doing chocolate. I know that sounds crazy, but my inspiration, that's what it did. Now I'm not going to tape off. I'm just going to try to very carefully get as much as I can of the frame. Now that I have my dark layer and it's dry, I mixed up some milk paint and soup case, which is still a brown, but it's going to be a lighter brown, and it's probably going to have a little bit more age than just a shiny paint. Okay, so now that my paint's dry, I love the tone on tone, the black, and then the suitcase color, but we're going to richen this up a little bit. So if you're like me and you do a lot of projects, Fusion has clear. Apparently they have the aging wax too, which I use a lot of the aging wax. So they have it in big tubs. So all we're going to do is wipe on. It's brown, so I don't need to have clear. You want to, when you do a dark paint, you want to do your dark wax. Oh my gosh, look at that. Is that not delicious? Oh, trying to keep it off the glass when I. Oh goodness, and then any crackles that ended up being on here then the wax will get in there and it'll really look like an old window. So yes, any of the crackles, it's really giving it that authentic that it's an old painted window that's been outside for a long time. Now to get the wax off the window, I would suggest spraying your towel and then going in, because the wax is still wet on here, but you want to get that off the glass as soon as possible, because the longer it sits, the harder it's going to be to get off the glass. So how did I go from this music sheet to little squares, which are still probably too big, but so just a regular size music sheet. And I will tell you, a lot of times where I would find these at would be church yard sales, when they're having donations, somebody taught or gave lessons They photocopied a lot of them. So a lot of times I would look for those boxes, and a lot of times they were free. Also, check out your church garage sales. Those happen a lot, you know, working for missions or whatever they're donating to. So we have our piece of paper. We're going to fold it into half. It doesn't have to be. This is the most forgiving wreath you'll ever work on. I don't know. It's time consuming, but it's very forgiving. So cut in half, just chop it away, fold it again, half. And as I said, we didn't need them that big, but to make our wreath bigger, because all I have is the Dollar Tree floral foam. Let's take the sticker off. Dollar Tree. So to make your wreath bigger, you just make your paper bigger. So to start, we're going to do our outer longer than we're going to do the rest of it, because that'll make it fuller and we can get more use out of our paper, because then after we get our outer done, then we will go ahead and half this paper, if that makes sense. I hope that it does. That way, because I find you want to use the same photocopies, you want to use the same book or whatever the pages are, because from pages to pages on the music sheets, it will be different hues. So unless you started the project mixing the two together, you'll have different colors of pages, little of your pages going through. So that's always my suggestion. Get as many cut up as you can so you can get on going. Yeah, so let's get to this. Oh, and I suggest a great glue gun. I love my Ryobi. I know that it runs hot, but as soon as I see it start to run like out of the glue gun, I turn it off. And then I can tell when I'm using it that I need to turn it back on, like it's getting a little harder to push. But the extra long glue sticks, have a lot of them on hand because we're going to be using a lot of glue sticks. So to start this off, it is so simple. Pencil, whatever you want, I guess, just something pokey that you can put and wrap around, and then you're just going to scrunch your paper into like you're going to throw it in the trash. It is as simple as that. And you want to keep the pencil in there, because when you go to glue it, that's going to help you hold it and stick it into. It all depends on how thick your paper is or how thick your pencil is. If you can get it to go into the foam, this is pretty hard foam. Sometimes the glue will melt it. Sometimes you just have to wait for it to set up. Like the first row, once you get that set up, like your hot glue dries and is cold, then it's fast from there. But it's just time consuming because there's a lot of little wads of paper that go into this. But yeah, so depending on your floral foam, which these are hard, it doesn't necessarily go into it. So I have to wait for the glue to dry and set up before I can then release my pencil. So that's the time consuming. But as you get layers on, they kind of hold each other together, so you don't have to keep like waiting for the glue to dry. So that's a lot of the time, is waiting for the hot glue to cool so that you can move on. Generous amount. And then we're going to go right towards the bottom of it. And like I said, I have to hold this until it is cool to be able to let it go, because this is too hard like to stick it and insert it. If you can find one of these foam wreath forms, that I have thrifted ones that weren't quite as hard, and I was able to poke it in there. But yeah, That would be nice. So see, that's what you need to do. So then it just, little wad of paper, looks kind of weird, but that's how it goes. So then now we're going to move on, make our little ball of paper. You want to work some kind of little ball at the bottom, so when you go to glue it, you have like a flat end to glue it to. And then you try to get that as close. Now, you could, if you wanted to, you could paint the wreath. I find that it doesn't paint very well, and that the glue necessarily doesn't tend to want to stick on this one from the Dollar Tree. Somebody else could have something else and it could stick. I've tried spray painting them. Yeah. So I just keep making little wads of paper until you don't see any of the green anymore. All personal preference if you want to go ahead and paint it so you don't see. I just try to make them be really full. Like I said, the hardest thing is waiting for the glue to set up. So, like watching paint dry, waiting for that pot of water to boil. Okay, I'll show you when I have the whole bottom done. Okay, first row is complete. So now we'll go into the inside because you need something to grab onto to hold, but the rest will go faster after we get the inside done. Fold in half, make a little ball, put a little glue, and then hold. You find yourself counting 1, 2, 3, like, you know, like, okay, if I do 20 seconds or 30 seconds, will it be cool enough that it can just stay on its own? That's how that works. Okay, got the middle section done now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to guesstimate, like, so if this is half, this would be 3/4. So to make the wreath come in, instead of, like, you could wait and cut it afterwards, but I'm going to go ahead and do a little shorter piece. And then you stagger it, like where the opening is, you want to stagger it so that way you're not seeing the green and you're hiding your holes. And the nice thing about it is this bottom paper kind of holds that up so it's not falling. So there again, I'm going to fold that in half, and then I'm going to cut half of that off so I have a 3/4 of a sheet. It doesn't have to be perfect. There again, stagger it in between the other papers that were already glued on. Then while I'm working on that part, I'm going to go across from it and I'm going to do that 3/4 piece. So I'll work back and forth. So working back and forth there, so you really won't have that much in the middle to finish up with. And then that will be a half piece, but we'll get to that. Okay, so that much is done. So now we just have to fill in the last part. Now the last part is going to be a half sheet. Here again, you don't have to be exact. You're wadding up a piece of paper. So, but the half sheet, instead of folding it this way, you're going to fold it the long way, or it'll be really tiny. Like I said, this part goes fast because it has enough papers to lean on it while it's drying. So long way in half. And then I just zigzag back and forth, filling that space in. Okay, we completed the wreath. Now these cut-off pieces, like these little quarter pieces, are perfect to fold over if you see like an area of a green of the wreath. You can just go in there and it's just a filler and you're not even going to notice it. So I like to go back around, make sure that there's not like a large green spot. And I'm doing that while I'm doing this, so mine might look a little bit full. But yeah, yep, there it is. So I'm gonna do a backing on here, but I'm at the end of my roll, so whew, that's just a little bit on the hard side. Oh well, we're just gonna go for it. Come on. Oh. All in there. Oh, at least it wasn't on the. Oh. Now that I have the excess cut off, I'm just going to lightly just make sure that everything's nice and clean. So we'll get a hanging system on here. Just have these eyelet hooks that I use for get on Amazon. They're usually nice and strong. Now I have 17 gauge wire. It's nice and strong, especially when it comes to these heavy windows. So now I'm going to actually glue it onto the window. Now, so you could have like hung wire and then wrapped it over, but I don't want you to see that. And there's enough paper and stuff here. I'm just trying to find where the areas are going to touch. Working while my glue is hot so that it's not drying faster than I want it to, you know, cooling off. So, and then putting some pressure, even though it's not a very heavy wreath at all. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And what did you think? Yes, outdated, storage containers. Nice, simple box. They've been around, I would say, at least from the 80s, 90s, just the way that pine furniture was. They're gorgeous. They are going to hold up. I just wanted to give them more of a neutral. It is artichoke neutral. I think so. I think you could add that into cottagecore, farmhouse, mid-century modern even, and even if you wanted some industrial. So let me know down in the comments if you think that can fit into anyone's decor. I actually do. I think greens are a neutral. And then that mirror, I'm glad that I didn't donate it. I'm glad that, like, when I was going to put it into the pile to either send to auction or donate, I'm like, you know, it's got beveled glass. People love beveled glass mirrors. It's a nice size. Sometimes people don't have room for the great big mirrors. So let's give it some green chippy paint. Oh, okay. Well, it really didn't chip too much, but it did amazing, crazy, and crackling. I absolutely love it, that old olive color. And the window. So black out windows. Now, you didn't have to paint them. You probably could have spray painted them, and you probably could have, like, put paper on them also. I just chose to paint 4 coats of paint. And coming up with, like, a brown that kind of looked like wood, but you know that it's painted. And there is my favorite, most requested DIY, the music pages wreath. Yes. Time consuming? Yes, that it is. Gorgeous. Who would have thought that wrinkled up paper all put together on a wreath from the dollar store would look so beautiful? It is so classic, and it can go almost, there again, anybody's decor. So give me a quick comment down below. Have you made one of the music wreaths if you're a regular of my channel? And if you were one of the people that were requesting this video, please let me know in the comments, like, have I scared you off? Or are you going to get right into that and start making one of those wreaths? Finding the paper, yes. You can print out. You don't have to have, like, the old vintage. I just am lucky enough to still have a pile of it from going out and about, but you can definitely just photocopy it, age your paper, used age paper to photocopy and print off. You don't have to have, like, the original. You don't. So there's that. Don't think that you have to have, oh, I have to have the right music. Do not think that. And yeah. So anyway, give me a quick comment down below which of the items I made over today were your favorite, and if I have inspired you in any way to look at pre-loved, secondhand, thrifted items in a new way. Again, thank you for watching, and if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this channel and painting over secondhand finds, making things over to either add into your own home or to give to loved ones, or maybe you're a reseller like I am. So if you like that and that is your jam, please smash that subscription button. I am so close to 100,000. I would so love at the end of the summer to hit 100,000, but we'll see how it goes. So again, thanks for watching. We will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.